Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm going to apologize. I have a little bit of a sore voice for some reason, but yes, it's me. And today we're going to work on a Bantam Crestfire Shimano reel. This one was sent in by Steve along with some very heavy-duty Penn Senators, 6.0s and 9.0s. He sent me a couple of these as well. Well, I'm not certain of the history behind this one. I would say from the industrial design, this reel is probably 1990s. It's indicative of the reels of the day, kind of a low profile, rounded, molded plastic kind of a setup here. And it replaces the Bantams that were made from the metal casing. And actually, the metal casing ones have grown to be fan favorites around. The Bantam has been around for a long time and still is a beautiful reel. Well, I haven't worked on this one specifically, but I have worked on a lot of Shimano bait casters, and we're going to take this one apart. We'll show you how it's made. We'll talk about how to service it and how to keep it running for a long time to come. So I am noticing that the handles are a little tight, they're squeaky, the reel's got some dirt on it, and well, we'll take care of all of that as we service it. Well, I'm going to start by removing the exterior pieces, and as I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of reel repair, if you like to understand how reels are made, a little bit about the manufacturer and the history, and a little bit about how to keep them running for a long time to come. Well, that's what I do for all kinds of reels, and subscribing is the best way to see which ones are getting posted. And actually, if you use that notification button, you'll get an alert that says that this one was just posted, and you'll be able to take a look to see if that's one that interests you. Well, as I mentioned, the handles are a little squeaky, so I'm going to start by just putting a little bit of penetrating oil on the posts here and letting that kind of seep in. While that's seeping in, well, I put all my pieces and parts into a parts tray. I use the bottom of a fast food container this week, and that helps me keep track of where I'm going to locate the parts when it comes time to reinstall. Next up, I'm going to take the star adjuster off, and when you take the pieces off, it's a good time to clean them. I mentioned that there's a lot of dirt in that bottom of this reel. It doesn't make any sense to not clean the reel while you're taking care of the basics. So when you're repairing a reel, there's 3 or 4 things you want to do. The first one, of course, is to inspect. You want to make sure all the pieces and parts are there, and you want to clean the reel, and then you want to re-lubricate the reel. Star adjuster came off. Underneath that, there's a metal washer, and now we have 4 screws that should be the remainder of the case. Now, I'm seeing 1 ball bearing here. That's always a good sign. Not sure how many ball bearings are on this. Lately, these bait casters have gone crazy in terms of a race to see how many ball bearings you can put in the case. I think the micro driver will do a little bit better here. But one on each side of the spool is fine. I know I've seen some kind of coming in 11 ball bearings and the like. After a while, I think it's just not that productive. All right, and then this one should be the last one. Should be starting to loosen up the case now. Let's see if we can pull that off. We can. And this is a good place to tell you to take pictures now. We've got 2 screws out, 2 screws in. I'm going to try and poke those screws out right now. And it looks like all of those screws are the same size. You always want to note when you're working on a fishing reel, when you take these side plate screws out, if there's any different ones. These happen to be the same. And when you have that case off, as we were talking before, it's a nice opportunity to clean the reel. So I'm going to take a kitchen scrubby with some rod and reel cleaner, and we'll just kind of roll it around, polish up some of the dirt, help to remove that. Now, be careful when you're cleaning the side of a reel. Things like this are just a decal, and if you go with anything aggressive, you're probably going to knock the decal off, and well, you'll lose that advantage there. Okay, we have a basic setup for a Shimano reel that's been around a long time. This one's totally dry. Made sense when we did it. It does not have an instant anti-reverse. Rather, it relies on the old forked traditional dog. This is your 2 springs that I remove immediately when I am servicing baitcaster reels, because as soon as you turn it, well, you're going to lose it. This is your ball bearing and a stack washer. Note the sequence. The stack washer goes under the ball bearing. Hard to see if that's a sealed bearing or not. Probably not for the era, but I'm going to load that up with water and put that into my case with the other piece. Now we should be able to remove the main gear, and when you remove the main gear, this dog has got to come out at the same time. So pull up on that and make sure you walk the dog up too, just like that. Okay, you saw that there is a tensioning washer on top and one more after that. This is your drag stack, and now we have that click ratchet. That click ratchet's going to act as your trip. I'm going to take the dog off. When you go to set your bar, just like this, it's going to push that down and engage between those studs, and when you turn, it's going to kick it back up. Of course, probably want the tension on it, and I've lost the tension, but trust me, it will kick it back up and out, and that's the way that will operate. Well, one of the issues you have with this is that it's totally dry. We're going to remove the yoke and the pinion gear, and now we're just going to soak it. Normally you would clean it. Well, this doesn't have much cleaning to do. We can wipe off the one click ratchet. It's just a little bit hanging on there. Check your yoke. You want to make sure that it's not broken. And when you look at that yoke, you're going to find that there's 2 sides to this yoke. One has a ramp side on both sides, and the other is relatively flat. Well, the ramps are going to go nest inside here. So what you do with this is that's facing out. And then when you look at your pinion gear, which this one has nothing on it, there's a slotted side which is going towards the spool. Well, check the teeth. Make sure they're uniform and clean. And then put a good coat of grease on there, because, well, this doesn't have any grease. And that's pretty much been the experience here, is that this reel is very dry. All right, we've had that soaking with the penetrating oil. I like to use that to clean it up. I'll use a cotton swab. Again, this is probably for illustration because, well, there's nothing in here. It's all dried up and away. And then let's put a good amount of oil on the mechanisms and the slides so that this turns and slides easily. This is a reel that is driven from the main gear for your line guide. What that means is when you go to cast and you disengage the main gear, you're going to cast with this stationary. This is not going to move back and forth as you throw the line. When you have a reel like this, you want to center the line guide before you cast. And the reason for that is it'll be the least amount traveled and the least amount of friction that you're going to see as a result. Okay, what we want to do now is just move this line guide over to the side, and we're going to remove the cap to service the pawl. This has what I call the castle approach, or castle cap. Kind of looks like the old top of a rook in chess. Has a lot of points on it. And you want to be careful when you go to reinstall not to break those points. So don't over tighten this cap. Just clean it off. And then you want to check the pawl underneath. There is a small brass washer inside that cap right now. You just want to make sure that it stays clean and it stays there. You want to take the dirt off of the shoulders. This has got a lot of old grease dried up there. And while we have that swing out of the way, we're just going to move it to the side, spray the inside of this, and try and clean up a little bit of that dirt as well. So I don't know what's going on with my voice. I just finally got a warm day here, and the air conditioning went on, and I think maybe I just reacted to it. I don't know. Find out. Hopefully it's not a cold. All right, while you have all of that out, take a cloth or something, wipe down the worm gear, get the old greases and oils off of that. I'm holding a paper towel to the teeth so that it polishes up nicely. Now we can reinstall the pawl. Just want to center it into that line guide. And we need pliers to help me with that. And if it's sitting proud like that, that's the wrong way to go. So push it down and turn the wheel until it's flat. And then again, you have that little copper washer in the middle there, so just center it when you go to reinstall. And then you can go put that cap back on. Again, do not over tighten this, and do not cross thread it. Be patient. All right, tighten it up, snug it, but don't over tighten. And then give it a spin. Make sure that it's operating properly. A little bit of oil onto the worm gear. And now we can put our trip lever back on, our click ratchet, I guess. Bring our worm gear, or our yoke rather. And now let's go for the main gear. You have a shim that goes on top to hold that in place. Clean off the back of this of any residual dirt. This doesn't have a lot of max drag, but not a lot of max drag is needed. It just has the one Shimano washer on it. It's basically a fabric washer. So bring it out, inspect it, make sure it's not broken, clean off the old dirt or grease. Go ahead and get some new grease. That's Cal's Universal Dry Grease. But you don't need to use that. Any fishing reel grease will do. But this one is designed for drag washers. Let's go ahead and check the teeth. I'm kind of doing that as I'm greasing the main gear. You don't have to get it on every tooth. You've got it on your pinion gear. You've got it on your main gear. They run at different ratios. So as you go to set this up, oops, that was an oops. Sometimes you can get ahead of yourself. One of the things I forgot to do was to reinstall the anti-reverse. So that goes on to your click ratchet. As you bring that over, make sure you line that anti-reverse with the post. And then make sure everything slides down evenly. Now we can take that again, set this up, and reinstall. And then check to make sure you've got the merging going on with your Teflon gear, with your pinion gear, and that everything is clear. Okay, so let's continue. I just cleaned up a little bit off my desk. We have the wide washer goes on next. And we have the bearing that we've oiled. We have that little bearing shield, would be the top piece. And that's your drag stack. We want to take our case, put a little bit of grease where that spool is going to land, and just line that up, bring that over. Make sure you have those springs. Remember those springs from the yoke. Make sure they get in there. One way that I like, one reason that I like that parts tray is, well, I can see what's in there or what's not in there. In this case, I'm looking and I like what I see because it looks like everything that should be on the reel is now on the reel. And again, if I had any question about the sequence to this, well, I would certainly go back and check my pictures. My pictures are the video, but you don't need to do videos. You can certainly use just about anything. Use a cell phone, use a standard digital camera. Well, hey, use film camera if you want. wonder if anybody uses a Kodak anymore. Well, there you go. All right, 2 more of these little screws. They were all the same, we noticed that. So those all line up accordingly. And, well, you can put those screws in any hole because they are kind of universal. That's that. Let's go ahead and put the star adjuster on then. Make sure that you do not cross strip this handle. It's interesting, for the plastic thing, this metal handle is just so darn heavy. The handle is next. We want to get the little tension washer and the handle and the handle nut. Same caution here as with the star adjuster. You want to make sure that you don't cross strip that, so I like to start it by hand. Let's tighten this up a little bit, and either the point pointing directly at that hole or the dead flat center of it usually means that you can put the nut cap on and have that tie down screw aligned properly so that you can tighten it up just like that. All right, let's go over to the non-gear side. There is a screw here that you're going to loosen. Once that's loosened, I don't know if you have to pull that out or not. Turn it down and then pull it out. We'll remove it. This is a mag system. You don't need to do anything with the mag. You can see the mag plate on the back of this. And this is a good opportunity here to clean what you couldn't reach when you were doing the surface cleaning on the other piece. Take the opportunity to clean the inside. Get rid of any of that dirt. Spool is always an issue with me with the line. It tends to tangle. And when it tangles, it tends to trap. So what I'm going to do, I'll put a rubber band in there, and Steve can cut the rubber band off when it's time to take it fishing. In the meantime, that rubber band will clamp down the line and stop it from coming through. And at some point it comes through, and just use a scissor to cut it. That way you can reinstall this easily. All right, we're going to just put a little bit of grease on each side of the spool. And I'm assuming we have a bearing in there, so let's go oil the bearing. Take the spool and reinsert, and we'll give this a test. So what have we done? We've taken the reel completely apart. We've inspected all the pieces. We've cleaned it up. We've re-lubricated it. We've reinstalled, and hopefully, just a little bit of effort here, this will all go back together again. Push it in. Remember, you got a little turn there. Probably have to pull that up. Cycle it. And this is one of those reels that's kind of fun. If you have to break it down and you don't have a screwdriver, well, a dime will make this removable. All right, let's see how we did. Give it a turn. Everything's turning fine here. Everything's turning fine on the front end. It's the drag holding. A little tightening on the drag. Drag holds nicely. When you work with a drag, back it off if you're not using it. Make sure that we have the free spool release. It's turning fine. We talked about this as the cast adjuster. If you need to adjust, back that off to free spool it. Tighten it up if you don't like how fast it's turning. And make sure it clicks back in, which it does. So there you go. The Bantam. This one is called the Crestfire. That's a Shimano reel, I'm guessing the 1990s by the Industrial Design. And that's how you take it apart. Clean it, service it, understand how it's made, and put it back again to go fishing. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like it. And again, if you want to see more of these, please subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate each and every subscriber. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for all it is that you do to keep us safe. I truly appreciate your efforts as well. So to everyone, please stay safe, stay well, have a great time fishing. Take a friend. That's how a lot of fishing lure stories start, by having a friend along and experiencing a day on the water. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.